And outside the box reviews, we are taking a look at the Hasbro Iron Man 3 Iron Man Legends line, and this is the Bleeding Edge armor. Now, since Hasbro has been a complete bust with this license, Iron Man 3 and the 3 3/4 inch line, the line I usually collect, I decided to check out these Iron Man Legends because, well, they were just kind of calling to me off the pegs. And in package, they looked pretty good, so I definitely wanted to get my hands on it and see if that translated over once I got it in hand. The first wave of this line just hit shelves pretty recently. The whole series is going to be 2 waves of 3 figures each, all coming together to make one Build-A-Figure of the Ironmonger. But unfortunately, those 2 things are going to be spaced a good ways apart. We have this wave now, and then we're going to have to wait till fall to complete the line, which is a bit of a bummer and kind of disappointing. However, for my speed, for as much as I don't really collect Legends, it kind of works because that just gives me 3 figures now, 3 figures later, and it's not going to be as big of an investment as some of these Build-A-Figure lines have been in the past for me. But enough talking, let's get into the Iron Man Bleeding Edge armor. First up, we got the leg off Ironmonger. This looks pretty cool. I don't have the 3 3/4 inch version, but it's the same sculpt apparently. But the paint they've done on this one is awesome. It's a really nice metallic blue, very shiny, very cool, some dark shading in there. I'll go more in depth if I ever get this whole figure built. Hopefully I will. But looks pretty nice. Now Iron Man is basically the same sculpt we got with the 3 3/4 inch version. Looks very, very similar, but there are a few little differences here and there. The head sculpt is completely different. In the 3 3/4 inch, it's much more angular. The knee pads on the 3 3/4 inch are a little larger. And some of the proportions and everything are off. If you look at the bottom of the leg, the red armor goes down lower on the 6 inch than it does in the 3 3/4. Just little tiny details. But we're not reviewing this guy. We're reviewing the 6 inch version. And one of the things that really attracted me to this figure was the paint job on him. Just like the Ironmonger leg, the metallic colors they put on here are great. The red is a beautiful, like, hot rod candy apple red. It just looks phenomenal. There's some gold paint on him, obviously. Trademark for Iron Man. Looks really nice, really good. The sculpt on it I like. I actually think it's better than the 3 3/4 inch version. The angular face on the 3 3/4 inch version was a bit of a weird element to me. This flatter face, it looks more like the movie style Iron Man or whatever. I like it. It works a little better for it. Another thing I really like is the sculpting on the arms. Here we have the extra little repulsors on here that are more with the forearm as opposed to the 3 3/4 inch that had it on the top of the hand. It allows it to look a little more normal when you're doing articulation, especially because of the added articulation for being a Legends. But my main gripe on here are the arc reactors themselves. On the 3 3/4 inch version, inside all of these, we got white detailing, and some of them have black detailing, it looks like. It's much more realistic, much cooler looking. And then on here, we have just flat blue, and it actually looks kind of meh. Just not good. I'm going to probably try and go add that white detailing to him myself, because I'm just not digging the blue. With the great detail that got put into the armor itself, it's such a shame for the arc reactors to look so bland. They did, however, give us that detailing with the eyes. The eyes are a blue rim around white openings. It kind of has little tears coming down out of it, which is kind of neat looking. For articulation, he has a great joint in his head. He has a ball joint in the head itself, and there is a hinge at the neck. So you can get it going pretty far up, pretty far down, swivel side to side. The big problem with it is when you have it down or up, he'll swivel more at that angle. And the fact that it's really a ball joint up there doesn't really play in. You really just get that swivel out of it. So trying to get him to some poses is a little annoying. I know Shartimus Prime spoke of it, that you could pop the head off and kind of halfway stick it on there so that you can get him into a better flying pose, because it won't go up that far on its own. So I have done that a few times. I think it looks pretty good. Pin socket arms, there's a nice ratcheting sound in there when you turn them and you rotate them around. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which I love, really nice. Great articulation in the wrist. You could swivel as well as bend, which once again works really well with not having the repulsor stuck on the hand. So you can even take this hand and get it pretty far out there for a good blast. Works really well. Really nice ratcheting torso joint here. It really only clicks when you get it in and out of the center point. But it's nice, so it's easier to get them sitting straight up. Rotate at the waist, even though it's kind of breaking the sculpt there, and it looks a little weird when you try to rotate it. So not my favorite joint on them, but it is there and usable. Ball jointed legs, forward and back, out to the side. You're hindered a little going back because of his iron butt. Swivel out the upper leg. Double jointed knees, once again a good ratchety feeling to them. Bend at the ankle forward and back, and pivot, which really lets you get him in some great poses. Overall, I think this Legends figure is really cool, and I'm definitely going to recommend him, especially for an Iron Man fan. And I think the assortment on this wave is pretty decent, because as we go through these figures, we're going to get a fair amount of variance. We have 2 Iron Men in this line, and we have Iron Patriot from the comics. So we have 2 Tony Starks from 2 completely different eras of comics, and then we have the Norman Osborn version. And then in the second wave coming up, we'll get the movie Iron Man Mark 42 and the new movie Iron Patriot. And then we'll get an Ultron figure, which is kind of a strange choice, but we'll get an Ultron with it. So you're not getting an overload of Iron Man, and you're getting some comic, some movie. It's not going to be back like the Iron Man 2 3 3/4 inch line where it was so many Iron Men, it was ridiculous. Now I've gone ahead and picked this guy up. I think I'm going to hold off until Target has that inevitable buy one, get one half off or whatever sale that they tend to have with Avengers stuff every time they put it out on the shelves. I'll probably just wait and pick up the other 2 when I can get them at a little bit of a discount, because I'm not chomping at the bit for them. But the Bleeding Edge armor, I think it was a good first pick in getting some Iron Man 3 stuff, even if it's not really Iron Man 3 related. Make sure you check out Outside the Box Reviews on Facebook. There'll be a link in the bottom bar. And until next time, it's been another Outside the Box Reviews. Stay tuned for more to come.